Hey, it's Jeffrey Pepper Rodgers here with another episode of Guitar Sessions. And the topic for today, the Grateful Dead's If I Had the World to Give. Kind of a lesser known gem from the Dead's repertoire from the album Shakedown Street in 1978, but a beautiful song. And I want to teach you an arrangement of it today that I did for one guitar. So one of my goals when I set out to do an arrangement like this of a band song in particular is to try to create an impression of the whole band arrangement, which means I want to play some of the melodic riffs, maybe include a solo, and make more of a complete sound. So this song is in the key of C and can be played with key of C shapes in open position on the guitar. But as you can see, I'm not doing that. I'm capoed up at the 5th fret, and I'm actually in drop D tuning. I have my 6th string down to D, and I'm playing out of G shapes, capo 5, so I'm still sounding in the original key of C. And the reason that I do that is because of all the extra things that it allowed me to add into the arrangement, which are the things that I'll be getting into in this lesson. It allowed me to create a much more full and complete sounding arrangement. So let's dig in. As with all the episodes of Guitar Sessions, all the charts and the tab for this lesson are over on Patreon. So a good place to start here is with really the signature moment in If I Had the World to Give, that little piece that I played right at the top. And that really sweet chord change that goes to the flat 6 chord to the 1. So I'm going to refer to the chords here in relation to the capo. So this is my G chord. The flat 6 is an E flat. There's the 1. There's the flat 6, an E flat. So it's a really striking change, and so one of the biggest rationales for using drop D tuning is to play an E flat chord. When I'm in drop D, I can use this position here with a bar across the bottom 3 strings with my index finger that allows me to play an E flat chord with a low bass note, which wouldn't be available if I were in standard tuning. So that's kind of the first small piece of the arrangement. And just as a side note, it's worth noting that that flat 6 chord, which is just such a gorgeous change. Also, one of the songs it makes me think of is What a Wonderful World, which uses that so beautifully. So if I were to play that in the same key, I see trees so green, red roses too, I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, there's that flat 6, what a wonderful world. So from that chord down to think to myself, a beautiful change. So songwriters take note, that flat 6, it kills every time. So let's run through some of the changes here. In the intro and the interlude, I've got that E flat, bar across the bottom 3 strings, 3rd fret, 3rd string, and then if I were going to extend that up higher, I could play it as an E flat major 7, but for the most part, I'm just using the bottom strings and just really playing it as a straight E flat, an E flat 5 actually. There's no 3rd in that chord. And then I go from between that and the G, which pretty much through this song I'm playing with just 2 fingers up at the 5th fret on the 6th and 5th string. So there are my 2 chords for the intro and the interlude. And then in the verse, going to go to C, a regular C chord, and walking it down. So that's a G over B, just a 1 finger shape that I'm using. So C, G over B to A minor, and then I'm going down to a D, and because I've got drop D tuning, I got the low bass note down here. There's my D, and then back to G, B7, regular B7, and an E minor, which I play with a 3-finger bar across the bottom 3 strings. And it's worth noting that that same change, G, B7, E minor, is exactly used in What a Wonderful World also. And from there, in the verse, we're just going to go E minor, and we go around to D and C and G. So let me just play through those changes. This is how verse 1 goes. If I had the world to give, the changes in verse 1. So a really important thing to point out about this song, that first time when I go to that D, have a measure of 2/4. That's a measure is cut in half there. Just for that one part, it's on two beats of D, and then it goes back into 4/4 time again. It's something that you'll find in a lot of Dead songs, as well as Beatles songs and other places. It's a cool feature that adds a lot of character. You don't always have to be chunking along in 4s all the time. Sometimes just cutting a measure short, cutting it in half, can be a really cool way to add a little bit of variety. So this song does that a couple times, always on the D chord, on the 5 chord. So now let's jump to verse 2, which is similar but kind of extends and goes a little differently toward the end. So we start off with the same C, G over B, A minor, to D, G, B7, that's all the same. D, C, E minor, D, C, G, and then we're going to go up to a G7. So I'm going to add on that 3rd fret on the 4th string to make that a G7. It just cycles around that D, E minor, C, that section a little differently in verse 2. Extends it a little bit. So that is verse 2. Now in the chorus, the shapes that we're going to use are C major 7, so just like a regular C chord, except you leave the 2nd string open. I'm going to go to an F major 7. And I could include the 6th string, but for the most part I'm opting to just leave the 6th string out and actually play that 5th string as my lowest note of the F major 7. So go do that a couple times, 3 times. Back to our E flat major 7, or just an E flat, to G, and repeat that. And that is our chorus. One other section happening in this song is the bridge. So bridge kicks off on the 5 chord. That's a D here. I will give one love. That's the part we're talking about. So starts off on D. And then just a really quick hit on that G. I will give one love I have to give. That's a C sus4. So if you take a regular C shape, but you raise the 4th string a fret, you get that C sus4, and then it goes down to a regular C. So D, G, C sus4, C, and it circles around with that a couple more times. 3 times around that. D, G, C sus4, C, and then finally resolves to the G. So those are the basic shapes. Then of course we've got all this really fun stuff that happens with the single note parts of this song. So in that intro, we've got this melody, which I'm playing on the 3rd string. And the tab for all this is over on Patreon, but you can follow along the basics here. There's the melody. Now, all I'm doing is I'm playing that and adding in bits of the underlying chords, that E flat and the G. So I go. You can see I'm slid into that E flat shape. Now the only kind of trick that I'm doing here is I'm using hybrid picking, so I'm playing with a pick for the most part, but here I do a little bit of picking the bass with my pick and grabbing treble notes or notes on the 3rd string there with my middle finger. You could play it all with a pick. You could play this all finger style. You can adapt this in different ways, but this is the way that I do it. Let me just slow that down for you, like this. 1, 2, 3. And then the way that resolves. So that melody is on the 5th string, and then I'm just adding in the open 4th string along with it. So I'm picking the 5th and the 4th strings together, and that gives our little sort of melodic motif for the song. And I'm going to use as an intro and as an interlude also. So so this is the most fun parts of this is playing in this position allows me to play the whole melody along with the chords, sort of chord melody style here. So if I start off in that G shape and I use my pinky for the bass note, I can play the melody along with my voice. So that's starting on the 6th string. That's open 5th string, back to the 6th string. That's a hammer-on the 5th string, leading up to the 4th. Hammer-on the 3rd string. And then I'm into my C with a little hammer-on. So what I'm going to do here is just play this section slowly, but understand the basic idea here is just playing the melody and adding in bits of chords. It's a type of chord melody style using here, and if you want to dig into the details of it, you can look up the tab, but here's how this sounds slowed down. So this is the solo section. 1, 2, 3. So nothing fancy, not adding in a lot of notes. Often for soloing, and Jerry Garcia certainly knew this, that the best starting place is just the melody. And when you got a melody as beautiful as this, play it on the guitar, embellish it a little, and that's a great way to play a solo that sounds like the song rather than playing a bunch of riffs. So those are the main sections of this arrangement. Now I'm just going to play through the whole thing. Check it out. If I had the world to give, give it to you, long as you live. Would you let it fall, or hold it all in your arms? If I had a song to sing, I'd sing it to you, long as you live. Lullaby, or maybe a plain serenade. Wouldn't you laugh, dance, and cry, or be afraid at the change you made? I may not have the world to give to you, maybe I've got a tune or two. Only if you let me be your world could I ever give this world to you. Could I ever give this world to you? I will give all of I have to give. Yes, I will give all of I have to give. I will give all of I have to give, as long as I live. If I had a star to give, I'd give it to you, long as you live. Would you have the time to watch it shine, watch it shine, or ask for the moon and heaven too? I'd give it to you. ever give this world to you. All right, so there it is, If I Had the World to Give. Once again, I'm Jeffrey Pepper Rodgers. I hope you have fun with this tune. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.